What is up, guys? Sumi here with Thoughtcast, and today we'll be talking about giving it space. A lot of times in life, your problems in your relationship, in your business, even in your own friendships can be solved by giving them space. See, we become very emotional because we're all emotionally wired. Every single decision that you make in your life is designed to make you happy. But it's difficult for us to separate this because intrinsically we are wired that way. You cannot fight the system and you cannot fight biology. So what you must do is apply emotional logic, where you apply logic in a situation that allows you to become emotionally satisfied. You utilize a hardcore truth of logic to allow you to become happy in a scenario. So at the end of the day, you're utilizing logic to become emotionally satisfied. What I want to say here is that most people don't develop the skill in their entire lives. They go through their world just acting on emotion and emotion and emotion. And one of the biggest things that they do is when a situation is not giving them what they want, they start to go into it more. They start to gravitate towards it. They start to ask questions. They try to make themselves overly available to allow themselves to solve that situation instead of just giving it distance. See, there's something called calculated neglect, where you walk away from a scenario in a calculated manner to allow that situation to necessarily fix itself. This is what people do a lot of times in relationships. When their partner is not treating them well, when their partner is not doing what they need to be doing, they apply calculated neglect. They walk away from a scenario to not show that they're available and they're not being disrespected by the scenario by placing themselves in total availability to what that scenario is. They're allowing themselves to detach in a certain situation so that their emotions are more so calm, collected, and guarded. See, it's important to learn the skill of detachment in relationships and in every aspect of life, because there are going to be situations in life where you putting in more effort is not going to solve the problem, but actually it will make it worse. This happens a lot when we become frustrated with other people. Sometimes when you get into an altercation with an individual that you may be very passionate about, whether it's in business, friendship, or relationships, it can lead to worse outcomes if you allow that altercation to elevate. And that means by you trying to solve that point. Sometimes situations need time, especially when you're going through a breakup or you're going through some difficulty in the relationship. You need to give it time. You need to detach. You need to move away from the situation and apply distance. And concurrently, a lot of times when you apply this distance, you have to focus on yourself and elevate. You have to begin cultivating healthy habits so that that situation that you've given distance now understands that you're elevating and that you're doing better. See, many times when we give distance to a situation, we can give distance and become very sad. We can sulk. We can become the victims. You don't want to do that. What you want to do is give distance and become positive. You need that distance to, number one, recharge, number two, detach, and number three, demonstrate to the situation in itself that you can do better without that situation. And that situation will then realize, hey, look, I can bring this person back in, or I can allow this person to enter again, and then reevaluate and recalibrate and then re-engage. See, many people in life go through life trying to solve problems by blunt force. They try to go into it and they never necessarily stop. That is the wrong mindset in a lot of scenarios. A good example of this is dealing with kids. If you're trying to explain to a kid over and over and over again why they shouldn't do something, it normally doesn't work. Instead, if you tell a kid something once and then you apply distance and you apply a lack of affection, it can become very successful. Now, this is also concurrently very psychologically manipulative in the adult world, where people will withdraw love in the effort to allow that person to feel that lack of love. And this is very damaging when you deal with someone that's been traumatized or has abandonment issues, where they need that consistency in their love, and that volatility in affection forces that person to come back and to compromise on certain things that they're not feeling comfortable with. This happens a lot with people that are very young in relationships, where they're very immature, where someone can detach from them and someone can let them go or ghost them, and they feel very hurt by it, to the degree where they compromise on certain behaviors that they weren't okay with in the first place. Withdrawal of love and that manipulative action can be very bad. It can be a psychological tool that people that are very manipulative or narcissistic can utilize to take advantage of someone that's very dependent on the affection of the relationship. At the same time, it can become very effective to walk away from someone that's manipulative and narcissistic, where their manipulation tactics and their persuasive efforts are not becoming effective, and they're seeing that it's not working out, so they must compromise to become a better person. It's a two-way street here. It's a double-edged sword. So it's important for you to understand when distance is appropriate, that detachment is actually valuable, and when to utilize it for good rather than evil.